Hey everybody, it's Hightower here to bring you another edition of Why You Should Play. And I'll be honest with you, I've been sat here for about 20 minutes now. I'm trying to figure out how to properly intro this video. Despite the fact that this is probably the third one I've made, and I already have a bunch of others lined up that I'm waiting to make, I still can't quite figure out how to open these things, you know? I always just kind of settle for the salesman approach. I knock on your door, or in this case I appear on your subscriptions page. You click on the video and then I just start talking before you even have a chance to answer. Or go, hey, stop talking. So I'm not going to let you start talking to begin with, I'm just going to tell you why you should play Ryse, Son of Rome. Ryse, Son of Rome served as a launch title for the Xbox One back in 2013 and eventually was released on the PC in 2014. You play as Marius Titus Andromedon, who joins the 14th Legion after barbarians invade Rome and kill his family. It's a standard revenge tale that starts to unravel and twist into something else, with a little bit of Greek mythology and gods and stuff like sort of lightly sprinkled on the top. I actually really enjoyed the story for Ryse, Son of Rome. It's fresh, it keeps interesting, and it starts to twist and unravel into what leads to ultimately a very satisfying conclusion. In fact, I enjoyed the story so much that I literally recorded the entire campaign in gathering footage for making this video. The combat plays out somewhat similar to Rocksteady's Batman games. Combat flows smoothly with simple controls. You press X to strike, it's Y to bash them with your shield, B to dodge, and A to parry. On top of that, injured enemies can be executed in a brutal style for a quick QTE sequence, and executions provide bonuses to players in combat too. You can use executions to regain lost health, get additional experience from kills, get a temporary damage boost, or gain focus. With enough focus you can enter a sort of slow motion phase and slash the living fuck out of your enemies. The combat is fun, it works, and the executions are pretty brutal and satisfying. That might sound a little psychopathic, but let's be real, who doesn't love watching someone get cut up, blood going everywhere, limbs flying around, and they scream in agony until they can't because you've probably cut their head off by this point. I got into a lot more detail than I actually wrote in my script there. So let's move on. The only real problem with the combat is that it doesn't really have too much depth to it. If you look at the Batman games, you all have all the gadgets and they can be incorporated into the fighting. Ryse doesn't really have that. On top of the default moves I told you about, you can also sometimes throw a giant spear at people. As you progress through the game, you'll gain levels and currency, and you can use this to upgrade your health and your focus meters, or you can unlock additional executions so that you can find new ways to brutally murder barbarians. There's also little set pieces where you'll form up with your fellow Roman soldiers and do things you've probably read about in history books, like that thing where they all stand really close together and hold their shields so they basically form the human equivalent of a turtle. Now, I'm not usually one to give a shit about graphics, honestly I could care less, but I would be an idiot to not admit at the very least that Ryse, Son of Rome looks fantastic. The levels in Rome itself look especially beautiful, with the developers' attention to the world design providing a beautiful environment in which you can cover it in your enemy's blood and decorate the place with their limbs. And I would say something positive about the levels involving forests and woodlands, but on the PC version I just started having massive frame rate issues with those sections, so I kind of had to drop the settings, so they probably didn't look as pretty as they should do. The multiplayer on the other hand takes place entirely in the Colosseum. Two players team up to complete objectives and violently kill barbarians together. There's not much to say about it really. You and a friend kill stuff and break things. It's fun, and it even has co-op executions. The only difference is that instead of having all 4 bonuses from executions, both players have to select one specific bonus. So one player can just get damage boosts, whereas one player can get health regen. It's kind of weird, I don't really know how I feel about it. I also think it's worth mentioning that the multiplayer has a ridiculously long load time. That was on the PC version, the Xbox One version might be different, but me and my friend were waiting forever just to load one map. Ryse isn't an amazing game by any means. It's definitely not one of the best games in the Xbox One, but it's a fun game. It had a great story, it had an enjoyable hack and slash in combat, and a fun little multiplayer co-op experience. It's hard to know if we'll ever see a sequel. Ryse, Son of Rome, Ryser, or something? I don't know. The point is that there is still an enjoyable game here, and considering it's almost 3 years old, you can probably find it for pretty cheap. I can admit I bought the PC version of the game while it was on sale on Steam, and I bought the original Xbox One version when I saw it going cheap. I'm not going to lie, I'm a very cheap person. I like to buy games when they're cheap, but the point is that this game's fun. It's worth your money, and I think you should play it, hence the point of this video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you go out and try Ryse Son of Rome for yourself, and let me know what you think of it. And otherwise, why don't you leave a comment and maybe like the video and subscribe to the channel and stuff. Thank you for watching.